Did you hear that?
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Haunting Live Podcast. I am Trevor, your host for Haunting Live Podcast. We are up to podcast number 22 tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and welcome to Saturday's show. So we hope you've had a great week, and it's been a pretty nice week here so far in our area. Hope it's been nice in yours, and hope everybody's doing well. We're continuing our Haunting Live podcast here from our studio at home because there is still COVID out there, so we're still not able to get into a lot of locations that we used to be able to and stuff like that. So we're just doing the same old usual broadcast from home here on Saturday nights. So thank you very much for tuning in with us here tonight. Last week I noticed we had a lot more people tuning in, and that's greatly appreciated, and hopefully we'll see some more new faces tonight also. Always welcome new people to check us out. And speaking of new people checking us out, we do have a special announcement here tonight that we want to do first of all for everybody. We want to let you guys know that we're always trying to distribute Haunting Live podcast here to as many ears as possible, try to get it out there a bit more, stuff like that. So we've been working hard behind the scenes here, trying to find different avenues of hosting our work and stuff that we do here at Haunting Live. And we've succeeded in some ways, and we found a website that's helping us out quite a bit with that. And we're now actually going to be posting our podcasts up to different, I guess you call them podcast apps. So apps like Spotify, we're on right now, so you can go check us out on select episodes on Spotify. And we're working towards getting more apps going, such as Google Podcasts, TuneIn, and some other ones like Apple as well, I think. So look forward to us being able to get out there a bit more and spread our work around to different ears and see if different podcast players and stuff you guys can listen to us on. So anywhere you are, you can listen to us on different podcast apps. We always have stuff also up on our website like usual. So any podcasts we do from home in the studio here, they go directly to our YouTube channel as well. So you can check out our YouTube channel at Haunting Live Podcast as well. Either directly on YouTube, hit subscribe and just follow us for new postings, or you can go to our website and watch them under the YouTube tab there too. So our website has a lot of great stuff. Just a little bit a while ago, we revamped and relaunched our whole new website, and we have a whole bunch of features on there now, including things like Twitter feeds and Facebook feeds, obviously. We have our Eventbrite page for our public event tickets, so you can purchase tickets directly through our website now for public events that are coming up. And speaking of that, we do have a event coming up. It's going to be coming up in November. It was originally supposed to be done this past spring before COVID hit, but then we had to reschedule things and change things around, so we rebooked that event, and it's going to be November 6th and 7th, and it's going to be at the Queen's Inn Hotel in Stratford, Ontario. So this is a 2-night event with us and also the Queen of Ooga Booga. She's going to be the host also for this event, so she's going to be there along with us at the Queen's Inn. And it's a 2-night event. So starting Friday night, you get a dinner with us and get to meet and greet us and ask any questions in person that you want to ask us, plus some great food at the Queen's Inn as well. Then Saturday, there is going to be workshops during the morning and afternoon, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll do the ghost hunt of the Queen's Saturday night. So you can also stay directly at the Queen's Hotel for that event. There are going to be a select number of rooms put aside for people if you want to stay overnight that night. We're going to be staying overnight that night, so we have our room already booked, and we're going to be staying there along for the whole weekend, actually. So if you guys want to stay with us, just give a call to the Queen's Inn Hotel in Stratford and speak with Sally. She's the one that you need to speak to book your rooms. But go to our website to get your tickets for that event. Tickets are on sale right now for our Ghost of the Queen's event. That is November 6th and 7th coming up, and that's going to be coming up very quickly, guys. So go check it out on our website at HauntingLivePodcast.com. And that's the news that we had for you to start off with. Other news that we did just launch also, as of August the 1st, we now have a brand new merch section on our website that we're promoting. We have a whole bunch of new product on there that you guys can check out and purchase directly from us. That we get from our suppliers. So we are selling stuff to you guys that we use in the field, so things like crystals, things like smudging and stuff like that. So any types of devices that we use in the field, we have available for you guys to purchase on our website under HauntingLivePodcast.com/merch. So if you go check that out, there's some great items up there for sale right now, and you can go check that out. So we would greatly appreciate that. And also, if you're local, we'll definitely drop by and drop it off for free, so you don't have to wait for shipping either. So if you're local in the KW region, we can drop it off for you in person. Other than that, tonight we do have a very special guest coming on tonight to talk to you guys. Last week we just did some card readings and stuff like that, but this week we're back with a very special guest. She runs a paranormal team group down in the USA called Unbound Paranormal. And she's Native American, and we can't wait to bring her on here. So her name is Kaitlin Crawford, and we're going to talk to her tonight about her group, what she does down there in the U.S. for the paranormal. She's in the area of some really famous paranormal locations, and we're going to try to find out what she's been up to during COVID and all that stuff too down in the States. So let's just jump right into that and give her a quick call here. Hi there.
Hi, Trevor. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for coming on tonight to our podcast and talking with us here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great. So how have you been? I know we talked quickly there yesterday, so thank you for that. And how are things been for you today?
Things have been awesome. It's been hot. Hot and humid here.
Is it hot down there?
I'm in LA right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice here today too. I was supposed to get up really quite warm today, actually, to the 30s or so Celsius. So, how warm is it down there, actually?
It's about, I think it was 97 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh yeah.
Today.
Oh, so you're almost pushing 100 now.
Yeah, nice and warm.
Nice and warm. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much, Kaitlin, for coming on. We greatly appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to talk to us here today. I introduced you already, so you have a paranormal team down there called Unbound Paranormal, right?
Unbound Underground. Paranormal
right.
Guides.
And so basically, what led you to form that group? What happened and what led you to forming your group altogether?
Well, what led me to form the group was I am the 5th generation of women in my family that I know of who were born with, it's in our bloodline, these abilities or this closeness to spirit, whatever you want to call it. But I'm the first one in 3 generations to embrace it. So some of my aunties and my mom and, their abilities are very strong as well, but it was something that just because you have this gift, it's not for everybody. Not everybody sees it as a gift. So they grew up kind of fearing it. So we started having discussions about these kinds of things, and they told me, like, hey, I would like to embrace this. At this point in my life, I would like to see how it can enrich my life. So we began going on investigations together. And when I saw how empowering facing their, not really their fears, but really embracing that and owning their experiences and who they are as women, Native women with this bloodline, I began to see how beneficial it could be for other people who might also have these experiences but not really know what to do with them in their life. They had a lot of questions like, well, I see these things, but I can't stop them, or they don't have meaning at the time. So why do I see it scary? But then they started seeing that not everything is scary, and it's usually for a purpose. So I started this business so that people who are having experiences, or even people who just want to learn more, or maybe have a positive, controlled experience type of thing, they have somewhere to turn.
Right. So have you been helping, have people had a positive response to you so far with your group? Like how long has this been going on so far, basically?
They have. So as a business, we began in 2018, but I've been doing um, the consultation and case studies and things for about the past 18 years or so. So people have had a very positive response. It's very grassroots. Traditionally in our culture and in our area, they say that the people who need you, they find you. So that's how it began for me, is people would hear through other people, oh, there's a girl, who has a little bit of an understanding about what you're mentioning to me. And they would get them in touch with me, and I would go speak with them, kind of get a feel for what's going on, and try to help them understand an entry point if it was a negative type of thing, and try to help them resolve things.
Right.
And it's just grown from there.
And do you find it's more people that are in your area, like in your background, in the native background, or is it a wide range of backgrounds that come to you?
When I first started, before I started the business, it was more native people and people with similar cultural background. But I think just because in that specific culture it's more accepted to speak openly about those types of things. But now, the past 10 years or so, it's everybody. And even more so than in my past. I don't know if it's because of the state of the world and things are changing so rapidly that people are searching for a deeper meaning, whether it's spirituality or what's next. Is there something more? People aren't as content with just turning a blind eye and not wanting to know. People are embracing it now.
Right. And has there been more of an acceptance than you find in people than in the past? Have they been more accepting to what you do?
Very, very much so. Very much more accepting, and also with the acceptance is their curiosity is piqued, and they're more likely to say, hey, well, I would like to do this. So a lot of what we do is also very discreet. We customize things and make them private for certain people, because not everybody wants it out there that they're curious about these types of things, but they still have that longing to have that. There's a little piece of the puzzle that's missing for them. So, yes, a lot more people are accepting and reaching out.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we find that too, that a lot of people are more accepting of it these days. Like they want to find out more about what it's about. And we get that too. Like when we do public events, we end up talking to more people. More people are coming to us and asking things. That's one thing that we try to do too on our side, is try to teach people what is the truth about the paranormal. It's not just, okay, it's kind of creepy, or I don't understand it, so I'm going to stay away from it. But we're trying to teach people that, yeah, it is kind of normal. So is there something that you do along those lines too, to try to teach people the difference between, I guess, real and fake paranormal stuff?
That is so awesome. Our mission statement on our website is, our mission is to normalize the paranormal. So coming from my native background and having just the experiences that I've had since I was young, even taking the native picture out of it, is, for me, it was never a question. So my whole life, I didn't realize until I was a teenager that the world I lived in was different than a lot of other people. But the state of being, as far as paranormal goes, for me, it's the most natural thing there is. It's just another sense that we have as human beings. Some people, have a heightened sense of it. Some have a dull sense. So it never made sense to me why we would be taught to deny one of our natural senses. Who teaches somebody, do not trust your own experience, or your senses? So we're trying to teach people that when you have these kinds of experiences, number one, do not doubt yourself. It happened for a reason in most cases. Embrace it. If you feel like there's a message, there usually is, and you can usually feel it in your gut what it pertains to. and it's completely normal.
Right. So yeah, we try to do that as well and try to teach people the same thing. So we're on the same level there with what we try to do, and the same with you. We really try to teach people so that they understand their experience, if they had one, to understand what it was all about, why it happened to them. So rather than just going with it saying, I don't know what happened the rest of your life, right? So I guess they want some
Oh, yeah.
understanding.
And then also
Yeah.
yeah, also a big thing that goes along with that is teaching people, like you mentioned earlier, not every experience is scary or negative. It might be a beautifully profound experience, but you have a fear reaction because you were taught not to embrace it. So teaching them that also, I think, makes people more open to it because they're not so fearful.
Right, exactly. So moving on then, was there any cases that you have had in your past um, that you can tell us about that were sort of your more interesting cases that have come up? Like, what was one more interesting case that really drew your attention to being into the paranormal? I know you had it in your background, but was there something that kind of stood out as, okay, this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life?
Yes, I've had experiences since I was a young girl. So I was always interested in it because I wanted to start the conversation. And this was before internet and all of that. And when I would try to talk to other people about it, their first reaction was like, hey, this girl's weird, right? And so I kind of suppressed it for a long time. When I went away to college, I actually ended up picking up a spiritual attachment. And that lasted 5 years.
Oh,
So once I self-resolved that, that was the tipping point for me that I need to go into this field. This is a calling. And if people are experiencing anything that I'm experiencing, I don't want them to have to deal with that on their own. I want them to have, whether it's their local paranormal group or just find me on the internet, somebody to be able to voice that to, because those people need help. So that was one of my scarier cases.
okay. Are you able to expand on that at all? Like, can you give some more details on what happened to your attachment? Like, what led up to you being attached?
I think what led up to me being attached in hindsight was, as I'm sure you know, anytime you're in a weakened state, anything that's negative just preys on that. So I was away at college, away from home for the first time in my life. I went to school in Hawaii. And while I was over there, my grandpa passed away. So that was my first real experience with grief. And I was trying to go to school, dead tired from trying to study, grief stricken, homesick, didn't know anybody over there yet. And the school I went to, I didn't know at the time, and I don't know if that's related to it or not. It just seemed probable. It used to be an old hospital, a children's hospital or something. I don't know if it's during World War II. I just found this out recently. But I was studying late there one night with my friend. I was actually just keeping her company during finals week. And we had a joined experience of somebody trying to get in the room that we were in. And it was about 2 a.m. I jumped up, I grabbed the door because I thought it was a physical person. They hit the door so hard. I looked down the hallway, there was nobody around. My friend was freaking out because it just gave you a sickening feeling of fear instantly. We called security and they said, we knew you girls were up there. There's nobody around. We've been watching you guys. And from that point on, I just had a feeling of always being watched or followed for a long time, and I just couldn't shake it. Then it turned into nightmares. Then it turned into depression. And then one night I had this violent nightmare. I fought this thing. Essentially, it was somebody coming to me trying to make me make a deal with them. We fought in the dream, and I woke up hanging off the side of my bed. You mentioned that you're familiar with smudging. when something like that happens, I was taught to smudge by my grandfather, so naturally I start looking for cedar. That's the plant that we use to smudge instead of sage. Couldn't find it. It wasn't in the normal place. But I knew, okay, this isn't a dream, this isn't depression, this is, I know this is more, but still trying to deny it at that point. Finally found it. It was under my bed, stuffed in a shoe. So I was like, okay, he wants to play that way. I started burning the sage or the cedar. I turned around and square with my door, the front door, there was just a black figure standing there. And I knew it was whatever that man was in my dream. And it just started laughing. So I'm like, okay, now he's in my physical world. I can't deny him anymore. And he took off running straight towards me, jumped over my head because behind me, we had the patio doors open. We just kept them open all the time. We're on the 3rd floor. So from that point, I knew I was battling something spiritual. And I tried everything I could for the first 2.5 years to shake it on my own with the things that I was taught from my grandfather as far as spiritual matters. It would go away for a day at a time, maybe 2 days. By the 2nd year, I was so sleep deprived that my doctors told me, if you don't sleep, you're going to die. You need to figure something out. So after the 2 years of all of this ups and downs, turmoil type of thing, I was alone at my house, and I knew that it was going to come to me in my sleep because it was attacking me every night. But until that point, it hadn't physically touched me in the material world. But I was so at my wit's end by then, I just decided, okay, one of us is coming out of this. I don't know which one at this point. It just needs to end. So I get ready for bed. I lay down. As soon as I lay down, I see it standing in the closet. And I basically just said, okay, MFer, one of us is coming out of this. This is ending right now. Right when I said that out loud, it reached down and it grabbed my ankle. And it started dragging me. And because I was sleeping on an air mattress, because I was just visiting home for the summer, it was dragging the whole air mattress on top of the linoleum. So that level of fear, I've never experienced before in my life. Because that was me being tough, right? This is going to end right now. I wasn't expecting it to grab me.
No, I've never had an encounter either that's been physical like that. Like, I've felt things lightly touch me, like touch my hair or something like that, but I've never had something scratch me or touch me to the point where I can feel a hand grabbing me or anything. So I can't imagine what that would have been like to be dragged off your mattress and stuff too.
I can't even express the level of fear, and I haven't had that type of experience before or since. So I haven't been touched that way either, except for that one time. So I jumped up, yanked my foot away. I was trying to run down the hallway, but my body was really rigid. I didn't have full control over, I don't know if it was the fear or what it was. But by the time I got to the end of the hallway, I felt like it was released. I was able to go. So I called my sister, told her I'm coming over. Something happened. She didn't ask. She just heard how upset I was. And anyways, I ended up going to her house. She called my grandfather, who is our medicine man, right? He's not a medicine man, but in our family, he's our patriarch. He handles those types of matters. So it took him praying for me standing my ground to get rid of this thing. And when he prayed for me and he felt the weight of it, he'd never experienced anything like that either in all of his years. But to be honest, and I think I would be interested to talk to other people who have had attachments, it's never really gone. Like, it doesn't feel like it's something that, okay, my attachment's gone, bye-bye. It requires a certain level of upkeep and maintenance to keep that away. And if you're somebody who experiences the paranormal, you have to be very careful and very proactive about the way that you approach things once you've had something like that.
Right. Yeah, I don't feel the same as well. Like, I think you're right that if you do have a negative attachment like that, especially from somewhere that you weren't even close to home, you're very far away. So, I mean, you
Yeah.
have no idea what type of energy you're dealing with when you're far away. It could be really negative, and it could have attached to you because of something you unknowingly did, or something that you just didn't know that you did, right? And yeah, it can take a
Yeah.
long time for that attachment to get rid of. So I can see it being, like you said, it's something that you have to deal with your whole life now, just constantly being on guard like that the whole time. So
Yeah, you really do. You have to set your boundaries, and you learn how to recognize certain
yeah,
cues.
you can recognize when that negative is starting to come back in and just say, no, put a block up and work on the block, right?
Yep.
So yeah, we do a lot of the same things, but we try to work. We do smudging, like you said. We try to practice the native way here as well because we feel that we have more of a connection to the native background too. Um, Chris
Yeah.
here at Haunted Live is also a background in native culture, so his relatives are native too. So we try to keep that smudging ceremonies and stuff when we do it anywhere. Actually, if we even just go to a house investigation or outside location, we'll still come home and just do a quick smudge of ourselves just to make sure that we don't carry anything back with us. So
Yeah, anything that can protect you or keep you strong. Like for me, not only do I believe in the ceremony itself, but just being so ingrained as a young girl, my grandfather praying over us with the smudging, and it just makes me feel strong and protected, whether it's by my ancestors and even my grandfather who's still living, just gives you that extra protection that you need.
right. Okay, so let's jump on to the next question here we have for you. You're located down in the Nevada region, right? So
Yes.
I know that's kind of close to the Four Corners region. I think you told me it's a couple hours away. But you said that you're kind of close to that area. Now, I know that area has a lot of sort of cryptids type paranormal activity to it and history to it. Do you know anything about that area, or have you experienced anything to do with kind of cryptid paranormal type stuff?
I I have never experienced anything there myself. I've actually never spent much time in that area, and I don't know much about it, and I don't want to speak for other cultures. If I don't know, I just say I don't know. But there were some common knowledge type of things that I heard when I was younger that the natives in my area used to talk about. So native communities on in the mainland USA, they travel a lot to different social gatherings with other natives, so other tribes all over. And the Four Corners area is a very common place for them to meet up in large groups. And once you're there, you branch off, you meet up with cousins or friends and these kinds of things. So there's a lot of social gatherings going on, parties, barbecues. And it was always common knowledge among my tribe as far as spirituality goes and the paranormal that you don't mess around. You don't mess around when you're in that area, meaning you don't stir the pot, you don't make enemies, things like that, because it's believed that the native witchcraft of the area, which some people know as skinwalkers, is alive and well, and it's just factual there. Just like if you go um, to the ocean, you're going to see some aquatic life, right? It's just accepted among, even if you're not that tribe specific, it's just you proceed with caution as if that's fact. And I've had family members that claim to have had run ins with these skinwalkers at parties and things like that. And it was never in full skinwalker transformation. It was more like you're treading on our territory when somebody gets in your face, trying to intimidate you, and then their eyes would change to animal eyes. And they'd kind of give them like you need to go back home, to where you came from type of deal. And I've also had family who was rumored to have been in that area, had run ins with these natives there that were known in their area to practice that type of thing. And when these relatives returned, they extreme mental illness that they didn't have when they left. And I do not doubt it for a second. Anything that they say that goes on in the four corners, I'm no position to not believe it.
Right. So that's something that is sort of in your background for what you believe. It's something that's been taught to you, or is it something that you kind of learned because you said you kind of went there a few times to those areas and you've encountered certain features of people that you recognized as being skinwalker related. Is that something that you were taught, or is that something that you kind of stumbled upon as recognizing as being that feature?
That's not something that I saw firsthand.
Okay.
Those were stories that I was told from family who had traveled there. When I've traveled there, it's just been traveling through, so traveling at
Oh,
night.
okay.
But the sense that I got just from the stories and things and how commonplace it is to hear those types of stories in Native communities, it's just something that I respect so much that I don't want to encounter that, you know, but I very much so believe in that just because not just Native cultures, all cultures have certain things that you just don't question. They're ancient, right? They've been in existence for, you just don't question them. So I've never experienced that firsthand, but I do
Right, so
believe
it's
it.
sort of something that's in your background and culture that you sort of trust as being there, that you believe in. Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's been a weird thing that I guess is not as known, say, in our culture compared to your culture, that there are stories and stuff like that that people want to find out details about, but we know it's so, um, I guess, a privacy thing where it's like not really talked about. Is it
Mm-hmm.
an open thing in your background, in your culture, that is talked about, or is it more like a hush hush thing?
The whole realm of paranormal in my culture where I'm from, I can't speak for everybody, but in my area, and from what I understand, it's very taboo to talk about anything paranormal. And that comes from the fact that we do believe so deeply. And there's certain things you don't talk about, like you don't talk about ghosts or spirits because then they'll come, right? That kind of mentality. So, especially with my business and just being so upfront about what I do, trying to normalize paranormal, um, I haven't got a lot of pushback, but there's a lot of within my community, oh, you shouldn't mess with that kind of stuff, or be careful, coming from their own fears. But the way I look at it is sharing experiences or stories is how we all learn and grow. So if I hold any little bit of information or somebody hears about me who is struggling with something that's similar to what I mentioned, if I can help anybody, then it's worth it to me to break taboo. I mean, I think you can only grow.
Yeah, definitely, especially since you've had your own experiences, you've had an attachment like you were talking about before. That kind of stuff can definitely help teach other people what to do if they have their own similar situations, right? So you have that
Yeah.
common link already before they even come to you to talk about something, because they're already coming to you for something. They want help with something, and you already have that experience behind you to say, okay, yeah, I can help you with that for sure. So, okay, let's go on to the next question here I have for you. And I was going to ask you too, we kind of talked about it already, but does your background have an influence on how you investigate? Um, like I was speaking about us earlier, we're kind of connected with the natives in Ontario, so we kind of do things a native way with smudging and rituals and stuff. Try to be respectful to the spirits when you communicate with them, stuff like that. So, has your background helped you come out and do the paranormal stuff, or has it been more of a hinder? Or
It's helped a lot. And I incorporate the smudging. I use sage also. That's pretty commonplace, but um, tribe specific, I use cedar as well. So it's either or. Sometimes I do both for protection, empowerment, cleansing, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said respect. That's number one. We lead with that. Whether it's a good entity, bad entity, you still proceed in a respectful manner. Um, it has hindered the amount of experiences I think that I could have if I were to delve into certain things that I know about. But it's the same thing like I told you about the skinwalkers and things like that. Those are things we don't question. You know, we know in here it's almost like a fight or flight response just hearing about those kinds of things. And that's nature, right? Animals know, okay, this is a predator. I need to run. It's the same response when I hear about skinwalkers or any of those more ancient type of cryptids and creatures and entities and things like that. So I avoid that type of thing completely unless somebody is coming to me to help them with a case involving something like that. So that has hindered how much I explore. But that's just a respect thing.
Right. Have you ever had a case come up from somebody that you've been like unable to touch or help them with? Like, have you had anybody that was like such a weird case that you were like unsure you want to go with it?
Not yet. Not yet. It's been pretty not run of the mill. I mean, there's some complicated ones, but it's more like, and okay, I don't have a good understanding, but what we've been incorporating seems to be keeping it at bay, you know, ongoing maintenance with these clients. So nothing that's been totally, you know, turn my back on somebody. And I don't think I ever would, even if it was something that I didn't feel comfortable with. But you might call in for backup. People hold different bits of knowledge. You know, I'm not going to try to say, oh, I know everything about everything. So if you're not equipped to handle something, it's irresponsible, I think, to proceed any further if you don't know what you're doing or dealing with.
Yeah, no, it's always good to ask for help too. That's why the more connections you have in this field, I think, is the better off, right? Because nobody knows everything in the paranormal field. There's so many different areas you can cover. It's impossible to know everything. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's no be all end all. There's no I always say there's no experts. There's people who have tons of experience, but there's no way to know it all. And if somebody claims to know it all, then watch them, you know?
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go on to the next one here quickly. And since you've been doing things and helping people out, different locations here and there, what was one of your more favorite locations that you have investigated, or which one do you like to go to the most?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when it comes to just places that I enjoy investigating, there's a hotel called the Mizpah Hotel. It's in Tonopah, Nevada, which is from where I'm at. It's a long stretch of road that eventually turns into Las Vegas. But I investigated there, I think 3 or 4 times now. But I like investigating there because the hotel is beautiful for one. It's old Victorian style, but it's still very well intact. But it's also very active, but in a happy way almost. Like I investigate a lot in Virginia City. I enjoy that as well because it's very active, but I don't feel welcome there, if it makes sense. You know,
But why don't you
could have
feel
been.
welcome there? Is it something to do with the energy of the area or the place that you go to there that's got kind of weird energy?
I
Or
think both. I think the energy of the area, but also the spirits of the time that are up there to investigate, their view on natives was not very good. So when I go up there, I feel uneasiness even from the spirits there. Not necessarily that they're bad, but just that, yeah, they'd rather not, have me there. But the Mizpah, I actually captured one of my favorite bits of footage there. I only sensed the woman's energy. I had not sensed anything else. And I was there with my aunt and uncle, and we're like, well, okay, we feel somebody in the room. It's changed. I was like, it's a woman for sure. And I had just got the SLS Connect camera. Do you guys use that at
No, we
all?
don't have one of those, but I've seen them obviously on TV quite often, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the figure mapping camera, and we were just testing it out. We had calibrated it, but we weren't really sold on it yet because we hadn't used it. So we never just take people's word for it. Like, okay, calibrate it, all of that. And I was like, okay, she is over on the bed. So anytime we use any equipment, but especially the Connect camera and things like that, there has to be at least two supporting forms of evidence, whether that's somebody's feeling, I feel a woman over here, or I think I saw something, and then it's backed up by the camera, then we say, okay, that's evidence, right? If it's not, then who knows? We'll put that on the side for later. But I felt the woman, and we panned over to the bed where we all kind of had a sense that, okay, she's on this side of the room. And she was standing on the bed. And this is a beautiful canopy bed. And she's standing there plain as day. And then she starts just kind of slowly going up and down. And my first thought was like, oh, her energy is traveling, you know? I didn't know. I was just trying to observe. I was like, maybe she's trying to go upstairs. And then she looked down and she stuck her hand out. So we looked, and then a little tiny stick figure reached up and grabbed her hand and joined her on the bed. They were jumping on the bed. So ever since we saw that joyful moment, that's been my favorite place. But my favorite experience while investigating was in Virginia City at the Silver Queen Hotel. Like I said, I go up there quite a bit, so it is active like other places in Virginia City. But there is a spirit of a woman there. And I go there so often that I've been part of my research and exploration is actually trying to build some sort of relationship with her. Because she's there, she's very intelligent, she's always open to communicating. And people overlook that aspect, I think, sometimes, that they're there and they're aware, and you can't just ask them to do this or that. They're not there for your entertainment. They're there for a reason. You know, and you either, if you want to interact, ask them a little about themselves, but be compassionate about it. Let them speak. They might not be able to say everything that you're looking for them to say, but she would always ask me for water. So now when I go up there, I bring her water. But I was up there with my aunt, and she's one of the generations that I was telling you earlier. She never really embraced her gift. She was always afraid of it because she didn't want to see the things that she was seeing, and she didn't see how it fit in her life. It was just disruptive to her life. But she realized as she got older, the more she would try to deny her experiences and shut that part of herself out, the more they would come knocking, right? And it was manifesting in these weird ways. So it was just her and I in the room. And my mom and her other sister had gone downstairs to get some food. And she just told me, she's like, you know what, niece? I won't say how old, but I'm this many years old, and it's just us here. I am ready to embrace this. I'm ready. I want to have an experience. I'm open to it. And let's try to communicate. I want to try to communicate with you here with me. I trust, your knowledge and things. So we sat on the floor and we just started speaking out loud. I'm here with my auntie and she'd like to have an experience. I hope you remember me because I come visit you a lot. And my aunt is the least emotional person I've ever met in my life. She'll probably get mad if she hears this. So we're sitting there in the dark and she just starts crying, like blubbering. So I jump because I'm startled. I turn on my camera, I start recording, and she's sitting there just sobbing. And I was like, are you okay? What's wrong? Are you scared? Or are you sad? What happened? And she just grabbed her heart and she said, I feel comfort. And I was like, what? Like, just, this was so out of character for my auntie. So I just kept filming her and I started speaking to the spirit. I was like, is this you? affecting her? Are you trying to comfort my auntie, and tell her, yeah, embrace it, makes her feel good, happy. And while I was filming, you see this ball of light come straight through the door behind my aunt, comes through her chest, down her arm, and then it spins up by the camera. And I was like, wow, to see that in real time, that was amazing.
Was
So that was my favorite
Yeah, it
experience.
sounds really amazing. Was that ball of light just like on camera, or was it physically with your eye?
It was physically with my eye, but we also have it on camera.
Okay, so it did show up both too. So you have like proof it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I have a lot of still pictures from it also because it was so visible in the camera as well that you can see when it passes in front of her between me and the camera, it actually causes a shadow on her arm. So it's really cool because you see it travel through her body and then you see it make a physical shadow on her arm. So,
yeah.
and that was really touching for her because, I mean, she's been denying her experiences for so long.
Yeah, that's amazing that you have evidence of the shadow as well, because then that means it's something physical that was actually there as opposed to a reflection or something, right? It's actually physically casting a shadow onto something.
Yeah.
So you have that evidence both visually as a memory and also on video too. So that's great. Is it a really
Yep.
active area down there? Like I know there's been several TV shows and stuff filmed down there, so I
Yeah.
won't mention anybody's name particularly, but I think we know who.
I could probably guess.
I know they've been down there quite often. So is that a really active area? Like I know they're down there all the time. You go down there, so is it really active down there?
It's really active, but that's what I wanted to make clear is the only reason I go down there is because it's been common knowledge among the local people forever that it's haunted, right? But it's one of those things too that's just accepted. No one has to prove it or anything else. So I remember going there on field trips in school when I was a little girl. And I remember refusing to go in these certain areas, certain mines and things like that. And my teacher was like, "Oh, you have to go." I'm like, "No, I'm not." And she's like, "Well, why are you scared?" I said, "No." I said, "But there's somebody in there and they don't want me here." So I'm thinking maybe my not feeling welcome was knowing even back then that these spirits were there. So the only reason I go up there so often is because it is very ridiculously active, almost like if you're interested in paranormal at all, if you have any equipment or you just want to communicate, if you're a medium, you're going to have an experience if you already experience things. So I go there a lot to test equipment and everything, but that's because it's so close to my house. They have an ice cream and candy shop there that I love.
That's just a bonus there.
So I just make a day of it for an evening. But it's just because it's so close and convenient and to test equipment and things like that. But I know they are very famous now because of some TV shows that go there and things like that. But for me, it's about a half an hour from where I live.
Yeah, well, it's awesome to have places that are close to you to go to do your testing or even just to do investigation periods. So
Yeah.
up here we have quite a few locations. They're not as famous, of course, as the ones in the U.S., but there are quite a few locations in our area that we go to, and one of them is the Queen's Inn Hotel in Stratford, Ontario. And that location is one of our top spots that we go to. There's at least 3 or 4 active spirits there, and we communicate and have sensed all of them. We've had things like doors opening by themselves, toilets flushing
Oh,
overnight, dark shadows going through the room, stuff like that. So definitely an
wow.
active area. Like here in Ontario, we do have a lot of places that are quite old, but most of them are actually linked back to like either Native history or the War of 1812 history. So there is a lot of
Oh,
different types of energy than what you guys have down there. So it's kind of like a different energy feel, if you know what I mean. It's like different types of
yeah.
spirits and energy that we deal with. So
That's so interesting. Just you saying that because I think that's something that people don't really think too much about because we live within this, right? Just our experiences. We don't always realize that there's different energies, there's different cultures, there's different everything out there, and the mix of all of that. So when you said that, that really struck a chord with me. Like, wow,
yeah,
that's what I experience, even though it's paranormal, is still so different from what everybody else experiences. And to the depth, everybody experiences in different ways. That's
Yeah, so
exciting.
that's what we try to bring out here on Haunting Live Podcast. Is normally what we do is we go out to locations and actually broadcast live investigations. So, of course, we're not able to do that right now. So we're doing home podcast and in studio podcast interviews and stuff like that. So let's touch a little bit about your services before we go here with you tonight. Can you just describe for us what type of services you're offering and give us a list of sort of what you do and what you offer to people?
Okay. Well, the services that we offer are anything from um, spiritual, spiritual, I don't want to say spiritual guide, but anything within the realm of paranormal. So if that includes your spirituality, if somebody is going through something in their life and they just need an extra foundation, build upon their foundation for strength or whatever to get through, we help with that. If somebody's having negative paranormal experiences, whether it's a haunting or attachment, or we have something over here within the native communities that's very prevalent. It's known as bad medicine. It's similar to an attachment, but it stems from somebody's ill feelings towards you. They kind of take on their own, creates its own entity that attaches to you and causes chaos. So things like that. The business side of things, we do investigations. We do group investigations, similar to like what you were saying, public events. We do customizable things. It's based on anything that pertains to paranormal that the individual or the individual group might be looking for. Some people are looking for just an adventure type of, just the chance, the opportunity to maybe have a experience. So we try to facilitate that the best we can. We supply all the investigative equipment and we secure the location and then we guide them through. But it's never like a parlor game type of thing. It's always teaching them the true ins and outs of investigation, research, be respectful, protection, all of that. Um, we do outdoor retreats where we take people camping. That one we add in a little more of our native sides because we can do so out in nature. There's a lot more types of entities that we can try to communicate with, things like that, and teachings that we can put into play out there.
Yeah, what are some of the more outdoor energies that you do communicate with? So, like, if you take people on trips outdoors, are there more like elementals that you try to communicate with, or more native spirits, or?
Uh, More like elementals, but the thing with our area is once you get out into nature, you don't really know. There's no one. I'm trying to think of a way to explain this. How some cultures they have fairies, or they have very specific creatures or beings. Besides Bigfoot, we don't have one that stands out. It's just there are things that are out there that have been around for ages that are to be discovered spiritually. So you kind of never know what you're going to run into out there. So it keeps things fresh, and there are a few things of lore that I won't mention just because it's one of those respectful things, and it's one thing. I could probably all mention it because it's not. They don't have them in Canada, but they're called water babies. You can probably find something online about that. We have those here. Not necessarily something that you would want to have a run-in with, but we have out there.
Yeah, I've heard that name before. I haven't done much research on them to find out what they are or what that spirit type of spirit is, but I have heard that name, water babies, before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, sounds great. So just before we go then, and let you get back to your evening, um, since we've been doing this for a while now, we're up to our number 22 episode here. So thank you very much for being on with us tonight. Have you been doing any other projects at home or anything like that during lockdown or during this time?
I have, and I'm very excited. So, because of COVID-19, of course, like everybody else, I'm not only having a hard time reaching the clients that I already have physically, and like I said, some of them require maintenance and things like that. So, for the existing clients, we just started doing things online using Zoom, Skype, whatever people are most comfortable on. But we also started doing live spirit communication sessions. So I do automatic writing, we do live spirit box sessions, tarot, or mishmash of all of the above. So if people want to book those, they can go to unboundunderground.com and book a time. But I'm also developing calling it a Paranormal Masterclass series, but it's going to be focused on people who, well, it focuses mainly on hauntings, attachments, things like that I've been through myself, and how to proceed with all of those, depending on what your goal is. If it's to coincide with a spirit that's not really bothersome, how to approach that, all the way to how to rid an attachment if you have one on your own if you wish to self-resolve. And it also focuses on paranormal investigation, all the protocol basics. It's going to be a fun little series, just available to people who need it or who want it. And there's going to be an aspect of one-on-one along with people who take the course. And that should be launching on October 1st.
And that's available. Do you have to purchase tickets to do that, or just book a time with you directly through your website then, or?
For that's going to be an online course. Portions of it might be monetized, but probably not. It'll probably just be for whoever signs up. But you will need to register. And once again, that'll be October 1st is when that's going to launch. And it's about 4 weeks at your own pace. But there'll be consultations and things. Because I don't want to just put the information out there and not be able to speak one-on-one with people and try to help them through things. Also, I want to make it clear as well, some of these things, because we are a business, are monetized. But if anybody's ever having any trouble or is in need of help, we do those cleansings and consultations and one-on-ones free of charge. That's just a service that we offer because our reason for being here is to give people a place to turn and to, tell them it's okay, somebody believes you, it's normal, and develop a plan of action. So they can also contact me through the website, unboundunderground.com. Just send an email, let me know what you need help with, what's going on. I'll help you any way I can. If you're local, I can probably come to you if the COVID-19 things don't prevent it. But over the phone or Zoom works just as well. Just reach out. It is just me, so when you reach out, you're coming directly to me.
All right, sounds great. Thank you very much for that information. And of course, we'll post your website link also up on our Facebook page too, so people, even though we're in Canada, they might still want to check you out and see what your services are all about too. So thank you very much, Kaitlin, for being on here with us at Haunting Live tonight. So with that, I think it's been amazing to have you on and talk about what you do. And take your time out also for coming on here tonight with us here at Haunting Live. So
of course. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Alrighty, there we go, guys. That was Kaitlin Crawford. She is the owner of Unbound Underground Paranormal Group down there in Nevada, USA. And she was our very first USA person that we've had on fully from the US, so we are very excited about her being on tonight. And I thought she had a really long list of interesting things to talk about, so it was really awesome to have her on, especially from the region that she's in. there's a lot of different energies and paranormal stuff going on down there in that region she lives in. So it was a really great chance to have somebody like her on and sharing what she does. So we thank her again for being on. And again, if anybody wants to be on our podcast like she was just tonight, you guys are more than welcome to. If you're a medium or you do any type of paranormal field work, we'd love to talk to you and have you on the show. So just go to our website, which is HauntingLIVEPodcast.com. Go to the podcast page, and there is a form on there you guys can fill out, send to us. It'll only take a second, and we'll see if you're a fit for the guest for our podcast. We're always looking for more people. We have lots of dates open coming up in the fall here, so feel free to contact us, Facebook or email or wherever. So, also, just to recap, we talked about a few things just before the podcast started. We have a brand new page on our website, which is our merch section. So let me pull up that promo here for you guys. There you go. So we have a whole bunch of items now that are available for you guys to purchase directly on our merch page. We have crystals, we have smudging materials, stuff that we talked about tonight with her. She does smudging with cedar. We have sage up here available. We have Palo Santos available. We have different crystals available for cleansings. We have homemade spiritual bags that you guys can purchase. Those are handmade right here in our studio, actually. So you guys can pick any of those styles up if you like one there. And we also have some promotional items. So we have wristbands available, and we also have Trekker backpacks available for you guys to store all your gear in when you go out on location. So check those out on our website at HauntingLivePodcast.com/merch, or on our merch tab. And the other thing that's also on our website that we want to talk about again quickly is our upcoming event on November 6th and 7th, 2020. It was originally scheduled for back in the spring before all this started, but now we had to rebook it. And it is still going on. Those that bought tickets previously, your tickets are still good for that event, so just remember that you can still come to that event. It's a Friday night dinner, so you can come meet and greet us and have a nice dinner with us on Friday evening. Ask any questions that you want in person. Then you can come along for the workshops on Saturday if you want. Saturday morning and afternoon there'll be workshops. And then on Saturday night there's a Ghost Hunt of the Queen's Inn. And that's going to be led by us here at Haunting Live Podcast. So great event that we hope to see you guys at in November 6th and 7th. That's a Friday and Saturday night. Tickets on sale right now on our website. So with that, guys, that's about all we have for you tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Next week, we'll be back to some card readings. Chris has a brand new tarot deck that he wants to get some work on, so we'll have a brand new tarot deck for him, and he's going to be doing some free mini readings for you guys next week, next Saturday at 8 o'clock for Haunting Live, so tune in for that. Thank you very much, guys, and have a great night.
Subscribe to OGPS Filming /HauntingLive. Check us out online across the internet, live at Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.